Hi, I'm John Isner, and you're Inside Tennis with The Cause.
Well, Gus, Adrian, I can't tell you how much of an honor this is to have a tennis guy, a tennis junkie, tennis professional, tennis broadcaster, interviewing the oldest and most respected PGA golf professional out there. Gus, in advance, thanks for your time today. There's so many things to talk about in your life, so many accomplishments. Where do we start? I don't know. Let's start in the beginning. How did you get into the game of golf? Who got you started?
I started a caddy at St. Clair Country Club. We used to walk about 5 miles to get up there. So finally we got up there and we learned how to be a caddy. So that's how I got started in golf, being a caddy.
And that was back in Pennsylvania. But you were you're a highly sought after caddy because you had holes in your shoes. Explain that.
Back in those days, we got a big hefty sum for caddying for 60 cents a round. And this one doctor come out in the evening and all the caddies wanted to go home. I did too, but I happened to be one that stayed there a little longer than others. And so I used to get him in the evening for 9 holes. Then I had holes on the bottom of my shoe, and I know he couldn't see very well, and he only wanted to play 9 holes. He wanted to get in early, and I did too. So, knowing he couldn't see very well, I had holes in my shoe. I'd pick his ball up with my foot.
No, really?
And I'd walk it 30 yards, and then lay it down. Hey, I'm hitting that ball a little long tonight. Yes, you are, Doc. You're doing very well.
You're a smart young man back then. As a young man, as a kid, what did playing golf mean to you, Gus?
I just come along with the game of golf and grew up with it and learned a lot from the people I caddied for. And I wanted none but the best golfers because being interested in golf, I wanted to get the best swing I could get, and I wanted to get the best golfers, and that's how I learned to play golf.
All right, back in 1935, you give your first golf lesson. What were you telling people back then about their golf game that you still tell them now? Because I know you can't go anywhere. You can't go anywhere in town in Sarasota without people asking about a golf swing. So what were you saying then that you're still saying now, Gus?
Well, I'll tell you, each person you teach is a little different. So you have to adjust your teaching to the person you're teaching. Or you try to impress on them the importance of practice. Practice makes perfect. And you always work on a weak part of your game, and every part is important. And if you have a weakness in your game, that's the part you want to work on.
You are the oldest, most respected PGA golf professional out there. All the young PGA guys, they seek you out. Gus, what can you tell us that will make us better young teaching professionals? What do you tell these young PGA pros?
You take your student, and you have to try to sum up what this man is capable of doing with a golf swing, because each person is different, and some people can come along and be a better golfer because they're physically fit for that, but the others are not. So you got to make sure that what you're teaching them is something that they can do physically, and you have to let them know that there's a limit to how far they can go, because after all, everyone likes to be a good golfer, but they're not physically set for that. So that kind of limits just how far they can go in golf, but you want them to enjoy the game, and everyone's going to have a bad shot, and the main thing is to forget that one bad shot you missed. The most important shot you're going to hit next is the one coming up. The one you missed is gone. You can't do a thing about it. Forget it.
Guess what, Gus? That tip can apply not only to golf, to our game of tennis. Great advice. Great tip, Gus. Thank you. You made a contribution to my golf game and my tennis game also. Talking about contributions, in your estimation, who have been some of the golfers to make the greatest contribution to your game of golf?
Well, I named 5. In my opinion, Walter Hagen, he's the first man who went to the front door. The pros used to have to come in the back door back then. But when Walter Hagen, always coming in late, he always never dressed for golf. He'd be out enjoying the night before. So he come in the front door with his golf clothes he wanted to change to play golf. And he tried to come in the door, and the man in says, "Hey, you have to come in the back door." And that's the first day, Walter Hagen's a man going in the front door of the game for the golf professionals. It raised the level of their respect for the pros. He's the man that opened the door for all the golf pros going through the front door and getting the respect that they have today. Now, Gene Sowson, he's the man that made it possible for golf getting exposure to the Shelt's Wonderful World of Golf. Gene Sowson is the man that got that started. He got right here in Sarasota. And the third one is Ben Hogan. Ben Hogan has made practice so important. He practiced day and night, and when he'd go home in his room, in a hotel room, wherever he was, he never let a second go by that he didn't practice some part of his game. So he made practice important to the golf pros. Now comes Gary Player. Gary Player made him the part of being physically fit, a very important part of who you are today. He made physical conditioning very important. And now comes Arnie Palmer. Arnie Palmer is a man who made the fans so important, because without fans, you don't have the sponsors. And he got the fans out. He called what Arnie's armor. Of course, now that's not the only part. His game spoke for itself. As what he's done for golf, he raised the level of what they play for today, and they call him the king. And he earned the title of king. It's what he does for the game on the golf course, and he does many things off the golf course also, which contributes a lot to the result of the game of golf. And all the pros today all have a special program because Arnie Palmer set the idea of doing something for others besides playing golf.
Gus, there have been changes in the game of tennis, changes in the game of golf, changes that you like.
The thing I like about the game of golf is the level at which they score today. The equipment change, the clubs, the golf balls, those two important things that they made today. And of course now the golf courses have also gone through changes because they manicure the golf courses a little different than what we had back in those days. When we had a rough, you got off the fairways back in those days, you hunted for the golf ball. The grass was so high. When they said rough, it was rough. But today they cut it down to a level where you can use the wood in the rough. Today they've changed that. Now they're scoring better because of that. A challenge of a golf course is not what it used to be when I was back in those days, and I'm going back in the 30s, when the golf courses were not as manicured as they are today. All the equipment has a lot to do with how far they hit the golf ball. There's quite a few changes in the equipment. Very big change.
Indeed. Gus, you continued to shoot your age in golf up to a year ago. You still work out physically on your game. You do it in the pool. You practice your golf swing in the pool?
Yes.
Underwater?
Yes.
How?
Get against the side of a pool, and I'll swing back and forth, swinging through water, and trying to get the swing. And I get resistance from the water, but I'll do that about 30 or 40 times in the pool, and I kind of feel that gives me a little exercise that I like because it has something to do with my game of golf.
Gus, you were recently honored with the highest level of honor from France. You received the Order of Legion honor for serving in World War II. You served with General George Patton. What will those years always mean to you?
Well, anybody who's been in service, and have been through where you've been part of the whole action that goes with being in war. You never forget your buddies, and you never forget all the things you come through. You're lucky to get through what you did without being the result of a fatal end. And that's because not only yourself, but someone higher than you was watching over you. Enemy has just knocked out 4 tanks. And we now are on foot, approaching this little town. And up on the hill was the emplacement of these guns that knocked out the tanks. And I also had snipers up there. And we walked up there and walked into town. And I came into a house, looked at me, and it was about three stories high. Well, they watched me going upstairs. They saw me going up there. So they waited until I got to the top step, the top floor, and they hit that area with a gun, with one of those shells. I thought they blew my ears out. I couldn't hear for 2 weeks, and I have an hearing impairment. So one of those was from that action there, and I'm here talking about it. And I come reeling days downstairs because of that shell just affected me that much at that point. It hit so close to me. I just couldn't believe that you could go through, a human being, go through that force of the shell, explosive power that it had there, and still here talking about it. And that's just one of the things.
Very impactful. Impactful golf. Recently, just within 2 years ago, you shot your 8th hole-in-one. Now, when do you know it's going in that hole? When the ball leaves your golf club, when you sight it, the flights of the ball, or don't you know until it finally drops in, Gus?
You really don't know. Having a hole-in-one is luck, pure luck. No skill. You hit the ball towards the hole on the par 3s. If it goes in, it's in. But believe me, it's luck. It is not skill. Skill is coming in towards the pin, but going in a hole is a matter of luck.
Let's talk about one of your most lucky days. Back in the year 1983, you buy a lottery ticket in Pennsylvania. The next thing you know, you're getting $1,000 a week for life. Right now, you've picked up $1.3 million, Gus. Will you ever forget that day?
No, I'll never forget that day, because when that day came, I was in Harrisburg, and he said, now we're going to draw the one that wins the side of the week for life. So they happened to draw my number on the 8th one, and I was watching. I was there, and there I am. And they said, now don't forget to pick your $10,000 checkup before you leave. And who do you think forgot to pick up their check before they leave? I did.
No.
But I went back and got it. We'll give it the whole thing. I said, no. I said, I'll keep it $1,000 a week.
Gus, you have not shared this passion of golf alone. Your beautiful wife, Betty, loves this game as much as you. You share this passion for golf together. All of a sudden, Betty's passion for golf is displayed in the movies on the big screen. She's in Caddyshack. She's in the pool, and something's floating by the pool there. Tell us the rest of that story. This is very exciting. That was your club down in Plantation?
Plantation, that's where I played. But she managed the golf shop there, and that's why she became in the scene. So as a result, why she's the one. I was not there at the time. So it was afterwards I heard, like everyone else, what happened. So we saw her coming out on the pool, and we keep talking about her being in the scene. She came out when the candy bar was found, and they drained the pool, and Betty was part of that.
I remember. What's it been like sharing your passion for golf with the man that you're passionate about right now? This guy, Gus, is okay, isn't he?
Yes. Well, my dad gave me golf lessons since I was 8 years old, and he passed away and I wanted free golf lessons, and Gus came along. Free golf lessons
For life.
for life.
And here you are in Sarasota with the Cos doing a golf interview on a tennis TV talk show. Gus, what an honor you just gave me today and our audience. Golfer, tennis player, we are proud of this guy. Thank you, Gus.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure being here and airing out all my experiences that I went through life here, and talking to this man here is something that I enjoyed very much.
Not as much as I did. Let's keep alive our love of golf and tennis together.
Yeah, I'll endorse that. Let me tell you, a century goes faster than you think.
I'm Mike.
I'm Bob.
You're Inside Tennis with the Cos.